Hi, I'm Beth from Europeana. Digital cultural collections are amazing. There's so much to explore. So, how do you make sure that the stories you tell through your blogs, exhibitions, events, social media, and apps really capture the imaginations of your audience? Well, we've got 7 tips to help. These are created by the Europeana Network Association's task force on Europeana as a powerful platform for storytelling. And you can also see these tips on Europeana's Twitter and Pinterest as an infographic and on the Digital Storytelling Festival's Medium publication. Tip number 1: be personal. Personal stories can bring the past to life and they help people relate to history on an emotional level. So, can you present individual stories that include personal experiences as well as historic deeds? This really helps people imagine themselves in another person's shoes. Can you consider the human significance of cultural artifacts and sites? Who designed them, made and used them, and why? And show your personal passion for the subject. It's infectious. But remember, you need to be sensitive to social and cultural contexts for different audience groups. I'm going to give you examples for each of these tips that you can go and look up online, examples that we've really loved that we think exemplify these tips. So here we like Your Story, Our Story from the Tenement Museum in New York. We love the Welcome Stories from the Welcome Collection in London. And we love the stories of the National Archaeological Museum of the Marche on Easy Storytelling Channel, which is an archaeological one. Tip number 2: be informal but expert. People want to learn from experts, but it shouldn't be a chore. Overly academic language can put people off, but also you don't want to dumb down. You've got to find the right balance. So use expert storytellers. You might have really great storytellers on your heritage staff. You might have educators, you might have communicators, journalists, writers. Use them. See what you can learn from them. Try using conversational language. How would you explain the story to a friend? And avoid jargon, so those technical and specialised terms. And if you really need to use some of that kind of language, consider explaining the most unfamiliar words. If you have a style guide for for contributors to understand the tone, then use it. If you haven't, consider putting one in place. And make sure you're clear about the audiences you're trying to reach and adapt your language to suit their needs. As long as the content is expert and well informed, then your format can be experimental and playful. Now, here we like a Twitter thread about a bat in the library from the Museum of English Rural Life, and the Royal Game of which is a video from the British Museum in London introducing an ancient board game. Tip number 3: tell hidden stories. So much cultural history remains untold. Bringing hidden heritage to light engages audience and creates a sense of community and identity. And when creating your content, it helps to ask, can you find stories that haven't been told anywhere else? So when you're choosing your subject, consider who might be missing from the picture and try to give a voice to a range of people and communities. You can look for hidden gems in historical collections, and digital platforms are really great for this because you can find things that aren't available to go and see in person in a museum or a library, things that are stuck in storage but they're available online. And you can use your audience, they can be a great source of ideas and can collaborate with you on cultural storytelling, ensuring that different voices are heard. So your storytelling can be used as a starting point for engagement rather than an end in itself. Our examples of hidden heritage examples are People Not Property from the historic Hudson Valley in the USA, an interactive documentary, Minority Report, The Jews of Lebanon from Arab News, and Hidden Histories of Exploration from the Royal Geographical Society in London. Tip number 4: illustrate your points. Now, we know that the cultural heritage sector has a wealth of visual imagery, and these things are available in digital formats in many places, including Europeana. And these can be used to powerful effect in storytelling. So your format doesn't have to be fancy, but you can consider how your visuals and text work together in the stories that you share. So think about whether your images illustrate the story or are its main focus, and this might help you choose the best format. Long written or spoken narratives can be hard to engage with, so break them up with visual or audio material and build in some time to reflect on that. That can really enrich the experience. Now, zooming into large, high quality images increases curiosity and it can help direct people to key details that they might have overlooked. And consider your target audience. What sort of imagery would they find most engaging? Different groups will have different things that appeal to them. Now, for examples for illustrating your points, we like Las Hilanderas, una historia en imágenes from Museo del Prado in Madrid, which is an interactive image viewer. We love MetKits from the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and Gods in Colour from Liebighaus in Frankfurt, which incorporates large, high-quality images and video. So go and take a look at those. Number 5, signpost your journey. So the best stories take people on a clear journey. In digital storytelling, good signposting can help people keep on track, and having a clear sense of your narrative and digital structure will help keep your story compact and capture and direct people's attention from beginning to end. So consider mapping out your narrative path and check that your storytelling platform supports it. If not, can you find another one that fits better? Keep the navigation simple so the visitor knows where they are and how to get back to previous content. Subheadings, numbered posts, and clearly signposted links are some possible solutions. And if your platform is complex, then consider adding introductory instructions or help for new visitors. Digital makes it easy to link to new stories and information, so make the most of this, but ensure that each storytelling element stands on its own too. And examples we like here are Things That Talk, which overlays multi-step storytelling tours onto a high-quality image, and A Picture of Change for a World in Constant Motion, which is one of the close read articles from the New York Times. Be specific, number 6. Storytelling that focuses on specific topics can still engage a broad audience. Generally speaking, it works best to proceed from the details to the big picture rather than the other way around. So you need to find and keep your focus. Is there a particular image, character, or event that lies at the emotional heart of the story you want to tell? So begin with that, and whilst you can go out to other topics or links, you can return to that initial focus throughout your story. Take time on the details. If a story is chronological, make space to talk for longer about the key events. If it's thematic, you can give examples of each theme. I would avoid overly generalised language or sweeping statements. And remember that the personal stories and the well-chosen images can help give your story that specific focus. So here we like Artwork in Focus from Art UK, which invites curators and writers to discuss a single work of art each, and A Closer Look from the Louvre in Paris, which invites people to look at a high-resolution image of a single artwork. And finally, tip number 7. Be evocative. Of course, cultural history stories need to be based in fact, but the facts don't need to be dry. So don't be afraid to use poetic, descriptive, and evocative imagery and approaches. They are more likely to engage people. So you can use descriptive terms and imagery. You can invite the viewer to imagine an event or a place and place themselves within the scene. You can consider all the senses. If you're able to use audio or video, this might help bring something to life. If not, you can describe it. However, do avoid using flowery or overly complicated language. Evocative doesn't have to be complicated. And here we love You Are Flora Seville, which is a Twitter choose-your-own-adventure story from the Egham Museum. We love Faint Signals from the British Library in London, which invites people to explore a digital forest environment brought to life with sound. And we like 80s NYC, which overlays historical photographs of New York onto an interactive map. So there we have 7 tips for digital storytelling, which I hope you'll find useful. Enjoy the rest of the Digital Storytelling Festival.